everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. My name is Mario Rakanovic with WRX Property Group, and my business partner, George Dmitrovic, is going to be with us tonight. We're going to be talking about COVID and real estate, episode number 3. And thanks again for joining us. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you to all the frontline workers who've been supporting us and doing everything they can to protect us and help us through this pandemic. That includes our doctors, our nurses, our grocery store workers, our truckers, and of course, everybody that's involved with putting all that together for us. Thank you so much. All right, so we got a bunch of people here tonight with us live. Thank you for taking out the Monday. We skipped out last Monday just so we have a better idea of what's happening in the market, so we can tell you a little more details of what's happening in the market and how the sales have been going up and down. But before we get to that, I want to just touch a little bit on the virus and the situation in our city here or in our region. I think we're up to about just over 300 cases right now. And it seems like in the news report that I read this morning that about 1/3 of those have been resolved. So look, looks like we're okay. We're trending okay. I don't know what the peak looks like, when the peak will come. We're increasing a little bit, but hey, we're in it together. And the more we physical distance, the more we isolate, the sooner we're going to get through all of this. Thanks again for joining us this evening. It's going to be a jam-packed, fantastic night. George has got a lot of research for us that he's done as far as what's been going on in the market over the last 2-3 weeks. And is going to share that with us tonight. Thank you so much.
Awesome. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the video. Thanks for joining us. And also thanks to everyone that's watched some of our previous videos. I think our last video we had about 16,000 views. So thanks to everyone who shared that, who engaged with it, all the people that commented. We do appreciate your support, and we like to see those results and keep bringing in the information that you're looking for. And thanks to everyone who also engaged with us last time. We love your questions. Keep them coming. Even if you think of things after this is done, I suggest you can email us or message us on Facebook. We're very active on there, so we're going to get back to you. As Mario said, thanks to all the frontline workers and everyone that's keeping us safe out there. We've got some stats for you, so the picture is getting a little bit clearer about what's going on in the market. I know we've talked about it and we've speculated a lot about what's going to happen. So first, I'll start off. I'll go through the market numbers, so just to let you know what March looked like, and then after that we'll move on into seeing how that has affected everything. So I'm just going to switch over here to the screen share. These are the numbers in Kitchener-Waterloo for the month of March. We had 521 homes sold in March compared to 466 in March of 2019. So despite the coronavirus, we still had more homes sell this March than we did last March. That's more showing us how hot the market was before the coronavirus started, because it wasn't really until halfway through March or towards the end of March that we really started seeing people being told not to go to showings, no open houses. Realtors were told to stop doing face-to-face meetings. So it's very impressive that we really only had maybe half a month or 2/3 of a month that we still managed to get more sales than we did last year. So we were on pace to have a record-breaking March, but of course that was kind of slowed down. Now looking at the average sale price, $575,000 was the average sale price across all property types in Kitchener-Waterloo in March. It was $498,000 in March of 2019. So
that's crazy, George, man. Like that's like, what is that? That's 15%, right?
Yeah, just a bit over 15% increase. So that's a big jump. I mean, that's no
joke, man. Like that's nothing to laugh at, man. Like 15% year over year. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's real property. It's real estate, right? I mean, 15%. So that just shows how much of demand we really have in our region here.
Yeah, exactly. There's been a lot of demand, and year over year prices have jumped up a lot. Now, that number is not to say that, hey, everything's going to be peachy and things are going to keep going up 15% given the situation. That's just what it is compared to last year. It goes to show us how hot this market was before we were hit by the pandemic. Average price per square foot, obviously up, and then days to sell. In 2019, it was 20 days on average on market, which was considered a big number, small number, I'm sorry. It was considered very fast. And now we're looking at only 14 days on average. So homes are on the market for less than 2 weeks.
That must be one of the top fastest times. I mean, in the last many years, like 10 years, like 2 weeks to sell a property on average. That includes like prices in 400,000 and the prices in $1 million.
Exactly. It's the average of all of them. And it also includes condos. And for those of you that don't know, condos take a little bit longer to sell because usually with the sale of a condo, you have a status certificate condition. So a lawyer has to review that. And that usually takes about 2 weeks to get that completed.
Right.
So,
right. So that definitely adds to those days on market.
Yeah, exactly. So all in all, compared to March of last year, this March was on fire. Prices are up. Time to sell is down. But, I don't think it's such a peachy picture when you look at the market overall. I don't think it's going to keep flying the way that it would have had we not had this pandemic. One of the things to look at is the supply and demand and how that affects prices overall. Now, I was supposed to have this prepared in advance and open, but I didn't, so I'm going to pull up our supply and demand. I have the average prices, but I forgot to open up the supply and demand here.
That's okay. We got talking before the show started. Just because, while George is doing this, I'm going to tell you a little bit about, obviously, this COVID situation, this isolation, and this distancing. I just decided tonight to go to San Fran a little bit and just enjoy the Golden Gate behind me here, just so I get a little bit of that feeling that I had when I was there. So thanks for joining me.
Okay, here we go. Sales versus new listings. Found it.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, here in the review, while you're doing that, G. So what's going on, George, is basically, I mean, for all our viewers, thank you for joining. Our number is just climbing. What's happening is we have average prices up year over year for the month of March, 15%. Days on market down from 20 days to 14 days. Demand is through the roof, and all of a sudden, drastic measures put in place. Don't go outside. Don't make any physical contact with anybody. Don't do anything. Of course, sales are going to slow. Sellers get worried. Buyers get a little bit contracted as well because we got to isolate. But let's talk about the chart.
Yeah, for sure. So I've got the chart that I was supposed to have open up here. So as we hypothesized a few weeks ago, the number of sales is going to drop. The demand is going to drop because of what's going on. But we also hypothesized that the number of new listings or the supply was going to drop. So this blue line represents the number of sales since January 1st in the region. And the dotted orange line is the number of new listings. So as we're heading into that March spring market, you can see both of those increasing sales and new listings. And then here we are about mid-March, when all the new rules start coming out, you see a drastic drop both in sales, so the demand goes down, as well as supply, the new number of new listings. Both of them just kind of take a sharp turn down. So what we expect that to look like is prices remaining roughly where they are, depending on which one falls more. The logic behind that being is that the real estate market, like most other markets, is controlled by the supply and demand forces. If you have both supply and demand dropping equally, you should expect to see the prices remaining roughly the same, depending on which one drops a little bit more. And especially given how hot the market was coming into this, it could take a big hit to the demand and still be okay. So, even if prices go down a little bit or they remain where they are, we're still doing great because we're up 15% year over year. I mean, historically, we're up about 5% a year. So that's basically 3 years worth of growth wrapped up into one. To test out whether our economic knowledge is good and how our theory looks, we also graphed out the average sale prices in Kitchener-Waterloo for a few different property types. So here we have apartments in Kitchener-Waterloo. You can see it's on a bit of a downward trend, but generally speaking, the prices are holding to roughly where they should be. When we take a look at townhomes, they're actually on a bit of an incline right now. That probably has to do with the fact that they're in a lower
Hey,
price
George,
point.
sorry. Are you sharing this with us?
Should be. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Um, so they're on a bit of an incline. That's probably because of the cheaper price point that they're in. So when you have a drop in supply in an area that was already very low in supply, you can expect that prices are going to increase a little bit. Moving on, when we look at semi-detached homes, same idea. They're actually on a bit of an uptrend right now. And then when we look at detached homes in Kitchener-Waterloo, ever so slight downtrend. If you look at all the dots here, these represent average sale prices on any given day. And you can tell that kind of in the second half of March, these more expensive properties aren't really going on the market. So they're either not being listed or they're not selling, which is expected. You kind of expect a higher price point to not have as many sales. And then down here in the lower price point, we're seeing more sales happening. And the fact that the prices are holding while the more expensive properties aren't selling tells us that the lower price properties are actually increasing a little bit in value. So that's
Great.
what it looks like right now. We'll see what April has in store once it's done, and that'll give us a really good idea of what we can expect going forward.
Awesome, George. Thank you so much for putting all that together, man. That's some fantastic research. I appreciate it, and I'm sure all the people watching do as well. So, guys, if you have any questions about what George just presented or about values up or down, or where you fit with your specific property and all of this, reach out to us. Let us know here through comments about anything we just talked about. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks everybody for joining. I mean, our number is just growing as we're doing this, and it's fantastic. So we don't have our lawyer team tonight or our mortgage broker tonight, but we chatted with them. Of course, we're in tune with what's happening in the mortgage industry as well, and we talked to them a little bit. And what they're saying is the rates are about the same, but what they're noticing is a slight uptrend in rates. So, some of these variable rates are actually increasing, and it depends. Nobody knows why, what the government is doing here, but they're just saying, look, it's very cheap as it is right now. So they really give enough of incentive for people to enter the market with where they are at right now. I think, what is a 5-year fix right now? I think it's at, George, exactly roughly what it is at?
Around 265, 27, yeah.
Yeah, 265, 27. That's what I think it is at. Yeah. Awesome, man. So yeah, that's what's happening with the mortgage rates. What's going to happen with the market? Well, let's see how it plays out. Like George says, in April. As far as we're concerned, like, we're still going out. We're showing properties. We're listing properties for sale. It's just done at a slower pace. I mean, everything is at a slower pace just because we got to take so many more precautions. We got to book that appointment for the videographer, first of all, the stager, the home inspector. All these have to be done at separate times with a lot of time in between to get all of this stuff together and put a nice package, or the process that we do together. So it takes a little bit longer than we could deliver in 48 hours.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of buyers out there who might think that this is a good opportunity to buy. It's nice because you can get some of the conditions in that you wouldn't be able to if you were competing in multiple offers. So you can put a financing condition in, or you can get your home inspection condition in because there aren't 20, 30 other offers you're competing with. But you should expect to still be paying about the same prices that you were paying before, with just a little bit, less competition and less risk when you're making that offer.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it went from for a townhouse that was market value 550,000 that would be listed about 5% below market value. They listed at 500 or 10% below market value at 500 in anticipation of 550. Well, now it's more of listing it really at the market value and going from there. And we see more often than not, compared to 2 or 3 weeks ago, people not holding offers. What that means is, we underlist about 10%, we wait 7 days or 5 days, and to show the market the property, and then review the offers. So now the market and the sellers are not taking a risk of doing that just because the demand has contracted a little bit. It doesn't mean prices are down. It's just a different strategy that's being employed right now, where we list it at market value, and then like you said, George, you can put your conditions in most of the time, unless it's really, really a hot product that's hitting a 10 out of 10 for a lot of people. Then you really have to be ready to buy with no conditions.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, just because there's not a lot of buyers out there doesn't mean that the sellers are willing to take a big hit on the price, because at the same time, as we've seen on that chart, there's not a lot of options out there. So this might be the only option for you out there. So you don't necessarily want to bargain and, lose a potentially ideal home for yourself to save 10,000.
Right. And to save 10,000 because we're appreciating 15% year over year, and I think last year was like 12%.
Yeah.
And look, 15% of 500,000 is, what is that, George? 75,000.
About 75,000. Yeah.
About $75,000. So now you're gonna nickel and dime $5,000, but you're gonna get back this 75,000 in the future. And look, maybe not next year, but or maybe not in the second quarter of this year, but next year, most likely. It's just a huge pent-up demand where we live. And we haven't talked about this much here on our COVID and real estate show that we're doing here. This is our third one, but this is really important to understand. Like, the area where we live in right now, it's not an area where jobs are scarce or the industries that we have are out of date, etc. I mean, we're very tech and insurance driven here, and we have, of course, industry as well. But I mean, when I read that there's a tech startup registered every day or every second day in Kitchener-Waterloo, I mean, that's very encouraging. Not to mention that, these big companies that we have here, Google, I mean, Google is expanding their office to 350,000 square feet, and they're adding 5,000 jobs by 2021. I mean, Google is still operating while this COVID is going on. Like, we are still searching Google, if not more than ever before, and we're still using it for our emails and our cloud storage, etc., etc. Just a few things that Google does. But I mean, these companies are still operating, right? And it's still happening, and they're still hiring, and these people are unemployed. So we have a lot of spin-off businesses in our town, in our region here, that complement those business models. And these people are flocking into the region in big numbers. So this small, cut or hit in demand that we're seeing with this isolation and the short-term job losses, hopefully are overcome by all these tech companies that we have, and this growth that this region has going for it. What do you think, George?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. There's a lot of demand for the region, for all those reasons that you've listed. It's a diverse economy, so we're not dependent on just one sector of the economy. As you mentioned, you've got insurance, healthcare, tech, education. So even if one of those sectors takes a hit, you're not going to see a big loss in the community because it's so diverse, and then it's so in demand because we've got some of the top schools in the region, some of the top employers are here in the Waterloo region. So that demand is high. The only reason that we're seeing a drop in demand right now is because people are being told to stay at home. But even with people being told to stay at home, we're still seeing buyers coming out and saying, I need to enter this market. This might be my only chance to enter this market. And it just goes to show that people think the prices are going to be so much higher in the future that they got to try and take this small opportunity, if it even is an opportunity that they have.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot more confidence in the market than non-confidence, if you will. So, you know, a lot more people are thinking, look, this is my opportunity. I don't have to fight against 12 offers, or I can get that home, my dream home that I always wanted, and lock in these low interest rates and not worry about for the next 5 years what's going on, and know what my payment is, and everything is fine. And, you know, a lot of people are thinking that way. And those people are keeping us busy. And that's good. That's good for us. Hopefully, I mean, this whole situation ends very fast. Then we can go out there back to business as usual, and get everybody doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm being locked up for about a month is starting to, I think, take its toll on people, especially with the nice weather.
Man, so how we do our showings is it's funny, right? Like we get there, we got to keep our distance. It got to be 6 feet, 8 feet. We have our mask, we have our gloves. You know, everything is booked in advance, of course. We meet there, we wave, and that's how we conduct showings these days, right? And with our seller clients, mostly it's done through Zoom meetings like this, like what George and I are on right now. I mean, we do the presentation through there. We talk about, you know, their property. They go through the house with their camera. They show us their house, and we inspect it that way. And that's how it's done right now during COVID. And listings are happening, sales are happening. It's just at a slower pace.
Yeah, that's it. We're just seeing less sales and less listings, but they're definitely still happening. Homes are definitely very much in demand still. The point you touched on about listing presentations on the Zoom call is, you know, especially the way that we've been doing things, our presentations don't even have any paper at them. Everything that we do is done on the computer. So, you know, getting on a Zoom call and doing it really isn't that much different than if we were to show up and be in person.
Yeah, because we show up with, like, we are your paperless agents. Yeah. I mean, look, after all, we're in the Waterloo region, the tech sector of North America or Canada, whatever you want to call it. And it's 2020. So we better be ready and adaptive and prepared to do business that way. But one thing I want to go back and touch, you know, what's really going on for this region. So if you guys think Toronto is far away and Toronto is Toronto, what's really cool for where we live in is this GO train. I mean, and I don't know, some of you have heard about this, and surprisingly to me, a lot of people have not. Like I still, when I talk to a lot of people, I still get people being, oh wow, really? They get shocked when I tell them, hey, look, the government is working on a GO train that's going to go from downtown Toronto Union Station to downtown Kitchener for less than an hour. I think they said 48 or 52 minutes. I can't remember exactly.
I think it's 48 minutes, and it's different than the GO train. This is supposed to be a high-speed train.
It's a high-speed train.
Yeah.
So does it have any stops? It's got a couple stops, right?
It does, yeah. So it's going to be starting in London. It stops in Kitchener. It has a stop in Guelph, and then gets to Union Station.
Awesome. So does it, like, so the line that's first going to be built won't be directly to London, I think. It's going to be, what is it, to Kitchener, and then afterwards, like phase 2 to London, or is it all phase 1 London?
No, phase 2 is going to connect it to Windsor.
Okay.
So phase 1 will include London as well.
So when is the projected completion of this?
They said 2025.
Fantastic, man. It's already 2021 if you've been in isolation for 4 weeks.
Yeah, there'll probably be a bit of a delay with that, but yeah. So everyone that's joined us, if you want to maybe leave a comment, let us know what you've been doing to pass the time, to stay safe inside, any activities that you enjoy doing, to give us some ideas, because all we've been doing is looking at real estate stats and trying to understand where the market is going.
100%. Hey, so let us know what's on your mind. What kind of specific questions do you have? And let's chat a bit tonight.
give everyone a second here because I think the stream is a little bit behind.
Shout out to Emma. Emma is on tonight. What's going on, Emma? Mario and George say what's up. Hopefully you get some rest, man. I know you're working. You're working a lot, but get some rest for yourself, and let's crush this virus together and get through this, man.
Yeah, for sure. What's up, Mladen? Good to see you too.
Mladen, what's up, little brother? Oh man, so that's how that is, you know, George. I mean, I can't wait for this to finish, honestly. Like a lot of people, can't wait. But we got 300 cases. They're going up. Hopefully, we can plateau very soon and get this over and done with. And I think, like, you know, in the immediate future, it's probably going to be still business, but it's going to be probably more isolation, more distancing. I mean, more gloves, more masks, etc.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to be the death of the handshake?
Good to see you. The death of the handshake.
The death of the handshake.
I don't know. You know, people are like, "Hey, Mario, should I sell my house now? Our price is going to drop." But look, dude, I don't know. I don't know what the future is. I don't think they're going to drop if we get through this fast. If it takes us 2 years for the economy to open, yeah, I can see them dropping.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the province is extended the emergency for about another 4 weeks, is my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, hopefully the cases have peaked and are on the downtrend, and I think most businesses are going to be open again for business. So in that case, I don't think it's going to have a lot of effect on home values. If you absolutely have to sell right now, or if you believe that it's smarter for you to sell right now, sure. I mean, I'm not going to disagree because I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I'd buy some. But I don't know, right? I don't know what the crystal ball is. But if you have to sell, chat. We'll tell you what we think, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if you had anything else to add to that. It was mostly just the update on the market report there.
I don't know, George. I mean, do you have anything to add?
I think that's about it. You know, prices are holding steady. Both supply and demand are down, as you can see on this chart here. And prices across different property types are holding steady. You can see townhomes are on a slight uptrend. Semi-detached homes are on a slight uptrend. Detached homes holding steady with less expensive properties selling very much as we had expected. So we'll just see what April has in store.
Let's just check out April. Again, thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your time and joining us. COVID and Real Estate number 3 with WRX Property Group. It's Cloud Realty here in Kitchener-Waterloo. And if you guys have any questions or comments about what we just talked about, our last video got 16,000 views. Anybody has any questions, reach out. Let's just chat and let's get through this together. Stay safe.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.